There is this ignorance toward how everyone else feels, that we all have our own lives, and our own lives are all individually complex. And what you can't do is sympathise with other people if you don't know the details. And the care you have for other people just isn't there. And understandably, it can't be there simply because you don't have all the knowledge. People don't see the way you're thinking. They don't have the history. They don't have the background to your thoughts, whether you're right or wrong. But when you're in it, what you don't realise is it's the worst it can ever be. So, another word randomisation today. The word today that came up is sonder, if I'm pronouncing it right. Doesn't actually give a pronunciation when I see the word, so I am making it up, I guess. And that means it's the realisation that we all have our own lives, and our own lives are all individually complex. That word really interested me because there is this ignorance toward how everyone else feels, in terms of comparing it to how we think of ourselves. How we think of ourselves is really complex. You can sympathise with you because you know the full details. And what you can't do is sympathise with other people if you don't know the details. You are just assuming someone else's situation because you don't have the knowledge of their life. The reaction you have and the care you have for other people just isn't there. And understandably, it can't be there simply because you don't have all the knowledge. So it's an interesting word because the more we have that realisation, the more you can connect with other people. And it's a funny thing because the more you realise essentially the disconnection we have with each other, the more it connects us, because the more it makes us realise that we all are actually the same. I keep having these sort of realisation, understanding that this is the stage that other people are at, and this is how it creates. One of the things I've just done is I've just booked a tattoo in about September, and it got me thinking, how do these adults you see get covered in tattoos? And it's like, well, it doesn't just happen. They don't just get it all in one go. They might have started when they were 18, when they were 22, got another when they were, you know what I mean? They slowly, gradually add it up. But these people that I see that are covered in tattoos, I think, God, you are covered. What mental state are you in where you sort of go, yeah, I want to be covered? And then I realised the mental state that they're in and probably how they see their own tattoos is sections, because that's how I am in my head when I want my tattoos. It's in sections. So I wonder if these people that have a lot of tattoos, is it that you've, in your mind, it's sectioned off and you don't actually fully see the perspective of other people? I'm not saying it's a negative or a positive, but it's one of those interesting things about the perspective of how we think and how other people think about us as well. And that's what you've also got to remember when you're taking criticism. I think you've got to understand people don't see what you're seeing. People don't see the way you're thinking. They don't have the history. They don't have the background to your thoughts, whether you're right or wrong. Like with these videos, no one else has the background of what I've got in my head and the experiences that I've got in my head. And if that isn't interpreted, I look at it as I'm doing a bad job because I'm not fully expressing everything. I'm not fully giving the whole picture of my life. Sometimes I do think about that. I think, how do I emphasise and how do I show the story before I started filming? Because not only is it hard for people to see without me saying, it's hard for me to see because of my memory. It's a bit faded. When I think of my memories of, for example, being sad, and they're a bit faded. Whereas I distinctly remember a time when I could fully remember each memory distinctly, vividly. Now I can't as much, and maybe that's why I'm not as sad. Or when I get sad, it's not as much of a deeper sad, because I haven't got all this story behind me. I haven't got all this weight behind this little sadness that I might experience. So I've almost shed that weight. So I'm not too fussed about the memory of it. But when I would have thought of ever doing this before, I would have such vivid memories of misery. Misery is an exaggeration, but it's a nice word. And that's where I look back and I say, I do kind of wish I started filming earlier so I could see and feel that sort of sadness that I experienced, because the more of that I can remember and I can see, the more value I actually get out of it. Because I can see the growth, I can see the lessons, I can see the silliness behind the sadness. I can see that it was all nothing. I can laugh at it. Whereas now when I've got the memory of it, it's not, I can't remember every little detail. So I understand it when people can look at my story and not sympathise and not relate, because if I'm honest, I'm not fully expressing it. And I'm fine with that, because I also come to the realisation recently, I don't even know what you call them, podcasters, influencers, so anyone speaking on social media, on clips, role models and stuff like that. I see their story and I've always wondered how and why they don't explain when they were sad, when they were down and out. They can give glimpses into it, but when they talk about it, they talk as if it was short, or if it wasn't actually that much, or should I say, I don't interpret it and feel that it relates to my sadness when I was sad sometimes. I'm not saying it was a constant state, don't get me wrong. But when you're in a bit of a mood and you're down, when I'm listening to these people, I don't see the relation. I don't see sitting there wanting a bit more, being able to relate. And I think them thoughts always come to your mind of, but you've got it now. So it's different for you because you've actually got it. You're not in it anymore. And that's completely true. But that's where I come back to the beginning and I look at the perspective of the speaker. He's talking in a way where they've got past it, and their focus isn't on it's on the now, because I understand, like me now, the present is amazing. And why would you want to live in the past when it's not the best time of your life? So I can understand the struggle in sharing and really expressing it accurately to everyone. Because I sit here and I think, I'm speaking now, but I bet there will be someone who will go, you're not in it now, or it wasn't that bad. But when you're in it, what you don't realise is it's the worst it can ever be. Because it's your perspective, it's your inner perspective, and no one else from the outer perspective can see it. It's just not really possible, like this word, till you have the realisation, and then maybe it can click a bit. But it was a good word. I enjoyed that word. But at work now, so peace. Let's talk about how I finally stopped being a coward and plucked up the courage to actually start posting on YouTube. If I start, people are going to start making fun of me because I was a bit of a pussy. You're pathetic. You just have to start somewhere. It's the embarrassment of failure, which is necessary, by the way, to accomplish your dreams. You got two sort of people who had a dream and gone for it, and people who had a dream and sit back and don't go for it. Which one of those people do you want to be?